Hello and welcome back to our third mini episode of Prime Cuts here on Chopping It Up. This week we are covering the first episode of the short-lived series Zomboat by director Adam Miller and writer Will Hartley. You can find this on Hulu for free if you would like to give it a watch. As a reminder, Prime Cuts is designed as a quick-hitting, free-form conversation where we discuss a breadth of horror mediums, including anthologies, theatrical releases, graphic novels, shorts, and other forms of media. There is no set agenda here as we shoot from the hip and provide any gleaned insights from our respective viewings. So, gentlemen, I'm assuming nobody else aside from me had seen this gem previously. I guess we can go right into first impressions here, even though we don't have structured segments. What'd you guys think?
I mean, I liked it. I mean, it wasn't amazing or whatever, but it was kind of tongue-in-cheek, light fare. I enjoyed it. I thought the two sisters were funny.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it's a comedy. I mean, I wouldn't even call it. Yeah. It's like, I don't know if you wanted to differentiate between horror comedy versus comedy horror. This is definitely a comedy that happens to have zombies in it. There's nothing remotely scary about it.
No, that's right.
That's like exactly. I was thinking of that before we came on tonight, and I was like, you know what? This really is a sitcom masquerading as, you know, zombie or horror fare, which isn't a knock on it because, well, go ahead, Jay. Before we get into it, Jazz,
did you watch the whole season, Jesse?
Yeah, I watched it a couple years ago, or like somewhere in the midst of COVID, which was all a little.
Do they end up hooking up with those guys? Does it turn into literally a perfect strangers, perfect strangers with fucking zombies on a boat?
Cat hooks up with or falls for Sonny.
Right, now I gotta look up the names.
Which brother and sister is that?
Cat is the brunette who's the nerdy one, and Sonny is the thin one.
Sonny's the hot
one. Yeah, Sonny's the hot one.
Wait. Did you say Sonny is the hot one?
The blonde.
I mean, Sonny's the Indian guy.
Sonny's the Indian guy.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Joe is
I mean, Jazz. I'm fine.
It would have been more interesting if it was the sisters that hooked up.
I got to throw it to the Indians, I guess.
Jazz actually got really defended because I was like, wait, clearly Amar, the muscular Indian guy, is the more attractive.
Are they Indian? Are they Indian?
They're supposed to be Indian. That's what they say.
I mean, they could be Pakistani.
That's what I said. I didn't know if it was confirmed that they were.
Well, Sonny's name is Hamza Jeetwa. Jeetwa. Jazz, I'm going to defer to you.
Hamza sounds more Arabic, so maybe Pakistani.
And the muscular guy, Amar, his name is Ryan McKen. MCKEN.
Well, I think it's important to point out that Hamza is British, so he is not.
Yeah.
He's neither Pakistani nor Indian.
So Ryan McKen.
Origin.
I'm just being a shithead.
Ryan
McKen.
Let me
Jazz hasn't got in it.
Sorry.
Except that you find Sonny attractive.
I think Jesse recommended this to me one time before, and I tried to watch the first episode, and I couldn't get that into it. I mean, I still couldn't get like that into it. I think partially for me it has to do with the fact that I think British humor has to be done extraordinarily well for me to tolerate it. And like this is like the kind of British humor that's just kind of like what I would call the lazy British humor, where like just being kind of like smug and smirking and saying obvious things is supposed to count as funny, and I just couldn't really get into that. But having watched a little more of the episode than I did the first time I tried to give it a go with Jesse, this one, I got to see more of the hot sister Clara Theobald, and hey, she's pretty hot, and so that kind of like drove me through it.
Do you like Shaun of the Dead?
It's like the best version of this kind of thing.
Sure.
I think it also has like a lot of the same weaknesses. Yeah. Like here's what my critique in some sense of this would be like, this is offering nothing that Shaun of the Dead didn't already do before. Yeah. So like, why am I watching this?
Then we go back to the old.
I think whoever was making it asked that same question, which is why it only was one season.
Had one season.
Yeah.
So what I liked about it that I thought was just like inherently funny is, and they even talk about it, is the, if you have shambling zombies, and you have the slowest mode of transportation possible, like, okay, that's kind of amusing to me, right? Like just off the cuff.
So can I just for people who are listening, just a brief overview is let's see, a zombie apocalypse hits Birmingham, England. Sisters Kat and Joe must flee their apartment. They find a canal boat or a houseboat, and they plan to flee via the Grand Union Canal, which is approximately 200 miles from the outskirts of London, where Kat has a friend or relative who has a house on what they refer to as Eel Pie Island. So again, you're going, I think I looked it up, you're going anywhere between 3 and 5 miles per hour in a canal boat, and they're 200 miles out, not including stops for supplies and whatever else. So you can get a week and a half stretch within the context of the show. Well, the MacGuffin is, right, they have to get to Eel Pie Island, which I think you can stretch to the last episode of the first season. And then from there, I think you can go anywhere. You could make a second season. It, of course, wasn't renewed. And just as a spoiler for you guys, they don't even get to Eel Pie Island at the end of the first season. They end up in detained by a government camp who's like checking people, rescued / detained. Like, you know, they're getting chased by zombies, and they get into this encampment that the government has set up. Do you guys want me to tell you like a bunch of it, or you just want to walk through some stuff and I can drop it on you in discussion, or what?
Yeah, why don't we just discuss?
Just talk,
and then drop it.
Well, I will say then, just as the lead off for like discussing, like any criticisms, I think are automatically like kind of null and void, because, you know, it's supposed to be silly. It's supposed to be small. It like with the sports analogy or like boxing analogy, it plays within itself. You know, it fights within itself. Like it knows exactly the kind of show it's trying to be, not anything more, not anything less. It's, you know, winks at you. It's self-referential. It's self-aware. It's within the zombie universe. It knows that, you know, Kat is constantly referencing George A. Romero. She's referencing The Walking Dead. And even though it's not explicitly referenced, like you say, Sled, it's very much Shaun of the Dead territory. I liked it. It's fun, and it's like a 23-minute episode, I think, for the first episode. Man, this thing moves along, and it actually packs. Think about how much they developed in the first 23 minutes of the first episode. Like, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I mean, like, you get a little bit of character development pretty quickly. Again, in 23 minutes, that's not very much time. And you set up almost immediately that there's a zombie apocalypse happening. So it's light, it's kind of fun, but I didn't think it was like great. I'm critical of horror comedy in general. Like I don't like it unless it's really, really good. And this is fine. Like I had a nice time watching it, but I don't know if I'd watch more than one season of it. That's just my thought.
Jazz, does this scratch your itch at all for that sort of, what did you call it? Purge horror,
the siege horror,
horror, where people are trapped together in either a house, a plane, a ship, some sort of area that they're stuck together and against the onslaught of zombies. Did this do that for you?
I mean, I think if it were something that were taken in like seriously, it probably would, because like I actually enjoy the tension, and you know, like those things usually have their tropes too, like as people get picked off one by one, like who goes first and like in what manner, and at one point do people like turn on each other, and all the kind of things you get in like siege horror things. And that's part of like the fun of those for me, I think. Is that everyone like hitting those same tropes over and over again, and like they know they're hitting the tropes, but how are they going to try to uniquely hit the tropes? Right. For this one, you know, everything you said about it, about like it's the things that are null and void, like in a sense I agree with you. My main sort of thing with it is like, okay, but then the reason you're watching it is it's supposed to be funny. And for me, like, I just didn't find it like actually that funny. And that's no knock on it in and of itself. I think for me, like there's like British humor, like it's done really well, like when it's done in like, the original version of The Office or something, you know, the British version of The Office is like a work of absolute art. I think, there's other ones that are like that. But when it's just kind of like the TV sitcom lazy version of British humor, I just find it's like, I can't do it. It's just like, just saying the obvious thing is supposed to be funny somehow. And it doesn't work for me. I don't know. I don't know if that's an American British difference, or I'm just rebelling against, the British Raj in deep in my bones or something, but I don't know what it is.
There's a hierarchy to any comedy like that, British or American. And I get what you're saying. The OG British horror is extremely dry. It's not going to spoon feed it to you. This is very much, like you said, sitcom level humor. Mm-hmm. For some reason, it just rolls off my back. I thought it may have been the timing. This came out in 2019. On ITV originally. I found it on Hulu early on in the pandemic, and it scratched that itch for me. And it was, I whizzed through the first season. It's only 6 episodes, I think. And it left, I was like, desperately clicking on Google and checking to see if it was renewed for a second season. We're still on lockdown, basically. It's fun to me, especially that siege horror that you're talking about. Like, for me, it's enough. It actually makes it better for me that they're on a canal boat that is 6.5 feet wide or whatever those things are. You can live on it, and it's like going 4 miles an hour down a canal. Like, I wanted to see how they lived. I wanted to see when their supplies ran out, and they stock up the supplies at a grocery store, and that makes like a little bit of tense moments that gives you some ramp up and stuff, and they meet people along the way, and of course they pair up with the 2 friends, Sunny and Amar, and a couple of them develop a romance. You find out they start giving you a little bit of background on what's going on with the apocalypse, right? So Joe wakes up in the middle, and makes up in bed with some dude that she slept with last night, right? And he turns into a zombie. So what's revealed later is that Joe is actually patient 0 of the zombie apocalypse.
Oh, interesting.
There was we're getting into some fun, timely territory into the anti-vax stuff, which is the government in the UK was developing a new vaccination for flu. And she was among someone who volunteered, became infected with this somehow, reacted to her body, and she ended up kissing a guy at a bar, and it was exchanged through fluids. He was the first zombie. It's dormant in her, but she can pass it. She can transmit it. So when she slept with the dude at the beginning of the episode, that's why he turns into a zombie when he wakes up.
Should have called it zombie pussy.
That's a whole different genre, brother. That's a whole different genre.
Yeah. I would watch more than one episode.
I mean, I can send you some stuff. So it moves really quickly, and they run through that. Now they find that out in the last episode, and it was a really good cliffhanger to take you to what would have been the last episode that take you to the second season, which we of course never get. But I thought it had promise because it was aware of itself and within the zombie universe, where she references how you got to shoot him in the head, and of course that actually doesn't hold true. We find out in the first episode you have to puncture. It appears as though you have to puncture the breastplate, and I guess go through the heart to get rid of them. So I thought that they had in their back pocket, the director and the writer, some tricks for us and some swerves for us that would have been fun. It did seem anecdotal, and that way it was very much like a sitcom where you move from, like Jazz, we said before a couple episodes ago, like set piece to set piece, but it's all taken together, and you're on the canal boat, which I did way too much research on the canal boat before when to peel back the curtain for the listeners, when Jazz was still just a producer, Sled was actually absent for the very first episode. Joel and I took the reins, and it's like, remember, it was Dawn of the Dead, Joel, and at the very end they're flying away in the helicopter. And then in the remake of Dawn, they're going on the boat to the island, and that was my favorite
they end
part.
Up going to some island, and we only see in the post-credit scene like a bit of the outcome.
Right. I loved that. As long as they're on the boat and they're away from everyone in the zombie apocalypse, that's like my thing. So just to give you some stats on the island that they're headed to, Eel Pie Island is
it a real island?
It is a legitimate island. It's to the southwest of London. It is
British.
Eel Pie Island. It's an 8.9 acre island on the River Thames in London. It's accessible by boat or, you ready? This is like, I don't know how they did. It's accessible by boat or footbridge. So the entire fucking premise here seems flawed if you can walk onto the island. But I assume
if you can walk over there, why wouldn't the zombies walk over there?
I assume you could. I took a look at it because I went way too deep into it, and you can easily knock the shit out of it. Like it could fit like 2 people to walk across at a time. It's like a little wooden thing. It was actually in the 60s. It was a club for like major jazz and blues, like a venue. It was a pretty bohemian culture on the island in general. They also hosted a lot of rock and roll acts like the Rolling Stones, The Who, the Yardbirds, Pink Floyd, and a bunch of others. It's got about 50 homes on it, 120 to 130 inhabitants, and 3 boatyards. And the boat itself that they're on, these British canal boats, the narrow boats, you can run off of them. You don't need to refill your water for your septic or anything like that for 3.5 weeks at a time. So they would have made it there without having to actually stop if they didn't want to.
Nice.
Well, a quick thing that I found in a little bit of research I did on this was I don't know if he's the main character, but Ryan McKinney, the guy who's like
Amar. He's the big muscular dude. Yeah, Amar.
No, that's Ryan McKen. Big guy's Ryan McKen.
Ryan McKen, thank you. So he's in Deadpool and
very
Wolverine.
South Asian name for sure.
He was also okay.
Like so, he's in.
Say Ryan McKen. That's amazing.
It's like MC, like lowercase. It's like an Irish fucking name.
Like, it's very like Irish looking or something. But yeah,
he's actually from
Wolverine. That's what struck me as odd because that's talk self-reverential.
He's what Wolverine?
Like, he's just a character.
He's in it. Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
So he's the only one that had like a big role in something else.
Well,
right. Everybody else has been smaller.
The hot sister has been in a bunch of stuff.
She's been in Downton Abbey for one.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And a couple other, a few other things I thought I remembered.
Sonny, the other his buddy Sonny, the thin dude, was in.
What's he in?
Doctor Who, some episodes of Doctor Who.
Sure.
And the guy Ryan McKen, Amar, he's actually originally from Birmingham. So he was like very excited to get the role and to film some spots locally around there. I read some interviews with them. It seemed like they had a really fun time. They were all excited to do it and to be there. I think it had a lot more promise than maybe it gets. There was some sort of squabble, which I'm not familiar with British TV, but I think ITV is like second to what's the big
BBC
to the BBC.
Yeah.
And so they didn't land that deal, and basically like it was a knock that it was on ITV. People were like, "Oh, you're second rate." So they go through, and like I said, they get there is some deceit stuff. They run into old friends, ex-boyfriends, people, ex-coworkers, and some of them turn on them. They try to access the boat. They get trapped in a grocery store one episode. It actually is funny because our last Prime Cuts, when we went over Black Summer, had some odd ways had some similarities to this, in that a whole episode might be spent on these very small situations.
Yeah. Did you guys, are you familiar with a British sci-fi comedy show called Red Dwarf? Have you ever heard of this one?
Yeah, I've heard of it, but I've never watched it. It's like a Doctor Who type thing, right?
Yeah, it's basically like this guy, there's like this space mining ship and they're on their way back to Earth, and he does something wrong and he gets put in some kind of like stasis thing as punishment for the ride back to Earth. And like something happens with the ship and he wakes up like millions of years later. And he's like the only one on the ship, and he gets into these little adventures, and there's like a hologram of a former crewmate who's the person he despised most on the ship, but that's his only companion now or something. Anyway, like as a British comedy, to me it was a more idealized form of like the funny version of one of these things, like because they really like put themselves in these different sci-fi trope situations in each episode. And the humor I thought was a bit less. It was a lot more like situational in some sense, and less sort of like the just kind of like the smirking, smug commenting on what's going on thing. But anyway, like if it could have turned into something like that, I think it could have been, it could have been interesting. And I do like the siege thing. I just didn't think it like brought enough comedy to like merit continuing to follow it or something, for me at least. So
you think you guys, well, specifically Jazz, you think you might have had a different take if this was like explicitly marketed for, like, I feel like this is a very good 18 to 23 age group that would dig it, and that would explain we don't need to get super philosophical on a really deep level with it. It can just be a fun, dumb, entertaining show with a MacGuffin built in.
I could see that. Or if it's like, I don't know, like your early days of like movie watching or something like that, and you haven't like seen the bits that they do kind of multiple times, it would seem like more fresh or something. Yeah, I could see that for sure.
I do have a question, which I don't know if any of you guys noticed, but I didn't notice on my viewings from a couple years ago, but when I was watching it this week, there's so when Sonny and Amar are together, right, they run to a public phone, a phone booth on the street. They're looking to what? To call the police right there?
I think so, because they end up signing up for some program, like
a SIM card.
Because he'd thrown his cell phone at one of the zombies in the train station, right? So, but then the other question is, there was some confusion about Sonny had supposedly had bought train tickets for them to London, right?
Yep.
And while they were trapped in the bathroom, the zombie guy was trying to get in there. They slide their ticket under the door, thinking before they realize he's a zombie that maybe he'll just take the ticket and go away. And Amar looks at it and says, "Oh, this is for 3:30, or it's for 3:30. You said it was for 4:30. Why did you lie to me about when the timing to the tickets that you bought?" Did you guys pick up on that?
Yeah, I think what he said was like, "Hey, how come your ticket was 3:17 and mine's 4:17? So they weren't actually going to be on the same train together."
He didn't want to ride with. I took it as he didn't want to ride with his friend because he was just sick of him for whatever reason, and he just wanted some time to himself.
So they had just gone on a bachelor party the night before, right? That was the backstory for that.
Yep.
And Amar said at some point, all this stuff about being fit and having abs and like being together and working out, like, was he like overweight or out of shape prior to that? Because he's like, it's still me. I'm still Amar, like, did he go through some like wild transformation that
I don't know if it was like
overweight,
but it sounds like at
maybe
least
he got
like
on
he
steroids.
cleaned himself up.
He got on that HGH. He got on the HGH. Did you guys like the title track? I was like addicted to the title track. I just listened to that song over and over again. Sleep Forever. Sleep forever. That was like not like a brainworm for you.
Didn't register that much for me.
Sleep Forever by Loop Guru or Lou Guru, which was comprised.
It's like a werewolf.
Comprised by members of the former band The Gorillas, which I think we're all familiar with.
Oh, okay, sure.
And Ed Harcourt from the Libertines.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I mean, there's I feel like there was stuff here. I keep trying to push real hard on it, man. I really wanted a second season so bad.
I know. With Gen AI, I think you can just make your own version.
Enough.
That's it. Yeah, Sled. I'm waiting for the axe in my back here. And you've been quiet. You've been largely quiet. So let's fucking hear it.
Like I said, the first episode was long enough for me. It was fine. I mean, I'd watch more of that than what the fuck did Black Summer. At least it was like something a little different.
Interesting.
Wow. Okay. So you would wait a second. You would watch Zomboat before you would continue watching Black Summer.
It was funnier than Black Summer was scary. So.
Oh,
okay.
I love it. I think I might be able to get Sled. Sled, if we campaign, we can get season 2 fucking started, man.
All right, that's so great. I mean, if there's someone out there who's watched everything that they want to watch and they're just searching for stuff that they haven't seen yet, this is a great, easy choice until something else good comes along.
Okay.
Yeah. Listen, if there's someone out there who's on the verge of killing themselves and you're thinking, there's one more thing I could give a shot, why not give this a shot?
I mean, I think if they explored the zombie pussy aspect of it more, that would get. I don't know if that's been done a lot. Like zombies that's only spread by a chick. Now that could get deep.
Return,
and it's only from women to men, because like guys mostly give chicks diseases as opposed to the reverse. So like, yeah, man, like some kind of zombie disease where it's just like this one chick, every woman's immune, and just every guy they fuck who gets it turns into a fucking zombie. And that's probably kind of what it's like having ex-boyfriends. It could be a great metaphor.
Oh man, there's like a whole thing you could do with like, yeah, you fuck them, you ditch them, they become stalkers, shambling along after it. Yeah,
you could put them on a stupid little boat and make you guys happy with your fucking boat.
You motherfucker.
It's just slow boat though.
That's actually Sled. That's actually some of that sex with zombie stuff happens in Return of the Living Dead, which has nothing to do with the universe of the Night of the Living Dead.
They returned because the pussy was so good, the zombie pussy.
Well, I mean, look, Joe was actually infected with the zombie virus, and she's pretty hot. So, I did want to go into, because I'm so obsessed with them being in the boat together, that I also looked up all the canals. So they're in the Grand Central Canal, which links other canals and waterways to the Thames River. Regent's
Is it
Canal.
Pronounced Thames? I thought it was the Thames.
Thames.
Let's get that right here.
I think we have several UK listeners, so I graciously apologize to you guys.
My grandmother was British.
River.
The real deal, from Oxford.
Oh, Jesus
Get it
Christ.
fucking right.
I assume Oxford, Mississippi is what you're talking about. But,
no, Oxford, England.
Regent's Canal, River. Now I feel like Joel. River Nene.
Yeah.
Nene.
How's that go? Nene?
Well, Sled's grandparents are British, so you should fucking help me.
Grandmother.
Oh.
Nene.
I don't think.
Is it the Nene? They should make a Nene canal for sure.
Let's just. Oh, let me do this before we cut, because we like to keep these nice and short. We can give our ratings for it, our Cleaver ratings for it. I do say that I would recommend it.
Is it Cleavers?
No, you said that last time when I was in my COVID fit, my haze, where I was.
I thought we were doing machetes or something.
I thought it was machetes for prime cuts and cleavers
for the other thing.
I think it should be cleavers for everything. Did we do machetes on the first one?
I believe so.
Cuts?
Yeah.
All right, then fuck. Then I guess we do.
What have you guys been doing?
We split the difference. All right, so let's go machetes for this. We'll go cleavers for our standard programming. I'm going to go ahead and give it a good 2.855. I would recommend it depending on what the person's looking for. Like I would pick their brain about, what kind of humor they're into and what kind of stuff. What about you guys?
Yeah, I'd give it like a 1.5. And
that's harsh, man. Jesus.
Yeah,
1.5.
I would.
How are we rating these
not,
when we talk about between 5?
I would not recommend it for anyone who's like if you're like I like Evil Dead 2 style horror comedy or something like that. I would say like this is not it. If you're like if I like British sitcom comedy. Then
Jazz,
I like this more than Evil Dead. I fucking hate Evil Dead.
Wow, Sled, all kinds of hot. Yeah, he has to do hot takes. He can't stop himself. Hey, Jazz, have you ever, or has anyone here ever heard of Cockneys versus Zombies?
Cockneys versus Zombies.
Cockneys versus Zombies.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it. No.
This is also in line with that. I like them both. Okay. All this stuff is up my alley. All right, Joel, what do you got?
Yeah, I'd say like 2.5 for me. I mean, it was fine. I'd watch it if it was on and I had nothing else to do.
All right, Sled.
I mean, I give it 2.5. That's like a solid. What is that? A C? I mean, that's a 50%. Like,
all right, that's
not shitty. Bad. I mean, I would.
I was fine with it, but.
All right.
I'm not going to watch any more of it.
Well, all right. I can't convince you otherwise.
I mean, particularly because it's only one season. But I don't fucking set myself up for that.
And now you just spoiled it all.
But it's like a British season, a British TV season, which is like 5 episodes or something.
Yeah,
like that,
6 episodes.
I actually love that about British TV in general. That the like fine. 2 or 3 season thing with the prescribed arc. I wish more American TV did that. But
Yep. All right, guys. Thanks for the conversation. Listeners out there, thank you very much for tuning in to Prime Cuts. We will come back shortly with another Prime Cuts episode. We'll keep it short and tight. We'll see you next time.